Alright, so the fly that I'm going to be tying today is a light brown Caddis Pupa. For the sake of time, I went ahead and I laid down a few materials on the hook already. Start off with a size 16 scud hook or caddis hook. The thread I'm using is dark brown Unithread 6.0. You can't see it now, but I laid down 7 wraps of lead wire. And then for the eyes, what I did is I took a piece of monofilament, I think this one was 10 pound, and burnt off, took about an inch strip, burnt it down to make the monofilament eyes, and then you just kind of wrap that all together. So the next thing we're going to be tying in is some all-purpose olive thread. This isn't anything fancy, just something that was on sale at Walmart, I think. So I'm going to grab that in there and just work it back. Okay, and then the next piece of material that we're going to be tying in is some virtual nymph skin. Now in this case, I chose to go with this only because this is what I had here at home. Oftentimes this pattern is made using shellback. So if you have that, you're more than welcome to use it. What I have is just some virtual nymph skin, cut a little V into it there, and go ahead and tie that in. And as you're tying it in, you want to make sure that it stays on center and just pull back a little bit here. So that way your tail isn't going to be so bulky. Alright. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie. This is just a brown Sharpie, and I'm going to go ahead and color the back end of it here. As you're working with it, some of that color is going to smear off, and that's fine. It'll still be okay. Then what you want to do is just work your thread up to the front of the fly, and we're going to stop right behind the eyes there. Now you're going to take your whip finish and just a couple wraps, doesn't have to be very secure. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to be doing now is building up our body. So we're going to start off by making 2 wraps on the base here. Okay. Then we're going to come in front of the nymph skin, and we're going to make 2 wraps there. We're going to pull back on our nymph skin. You don't want to pull too tight, but you don't want it to be too loose either, so got 1 wrap. Alright. Okay, pull back, and then in front of the nymph skin you're going to do 2 wraps, pull back, and you're basically just going to repeat this until you get close to where the eyes are. And I like to use that ratio of 2 wraps on the body and then 1 on the skin itself. That's just to help keep everything consistent. That way your segments are somewhat even. And if it's not quite on center, you can always loosen the wrap a little bit and readjust your nymph skin, and then tie it in again. This will be the last segment that we tie in here. Alright, so I'm just going to put in a couple wraps here just to hold everything in place. You want the nymph skin to be out of your way, so what I'll do is I'll take a pair of pliers here, grab onto it, and then just pull it out of our way here. Alright, what you want to do next is reintroduce your brown thread, and I'll start off at behind the eyes here. Okay, wrap this around with your olive thread, make sure you're catching it, and then we're going to get rid of the olive thread. Okay, next thing you're going to do is just kind of clean up a little bit. Okay, after that we're going to tie in some wing cases, and for that I have some orange-brown partridge feathers that I've prepped here. What I've done is I've cut a segment out, peeled the rest of these back, and I want the wing cases to be about the length of the fly. What I'll suggest doing is you want to tie it in a little bit longer, and that's fine, and then you're just going to pull back until you get the desired length. So in order to do that successfully, you want to get 2 wraps in there, but you don't want them to be too tight. Okay, and then just gently pull back. Okay, that's about good right there. And again, if you want them to be longer, I mean, that's up to you. You do it how you want to. I just like it to be, like I said, a little bit longer than the fly there. Okay, and then we'll clean up here again. Wind our thread back, and then we're going to add in our dubbing. In this case I have some squirrel hair that I've run some clippers through. You don't need a whole lot. As you can see, it's just a little bit there, and this stuff is a little hard to work with, so I suggest either wetting your fingers beforehand or using some form of wax on your thread. Okay, and then we're just going to wrap this in here. You don't want to overcrowd the eyes, so if you find that you have too much dubbing, it's okay to go ahead and remove it. And I have just a couple fibers too many here, so we'll just take it off. Okay, and next thing you want to do is reintroduce the virtual nymph skin. Pull back here, and again our thread is behind the eyes. I'll pull forward on the skin just a little bit, catch in the skin. We've got 2 wraps. Then what I like to do is hop forward here, and I'm going to pull real tight. And just 1 wrap should do it to catch it in front, or excuse me, catch it behind the eye there. Okay, you want to pull back real tight on your nymph skin here and cut the remainder of it away. Now you're going to tie in the horns, and for that what I like to do is I'll work my thread here just to kind of clean everything up, and then I'll jump again behind the eyes. And for the horns, what I've got is some pheasant tail. I've ripped out 2 fibers. And if I can ever separate them here, I'll show you how to tie them in. Alright. So I want these to be a little bit longer than the wings. So I'll tie it in right behind the eye here. And again, make real loose wraps, just one. And it'll give you the opportunity to set them where you want them to be. And then you'll take your other fiber, try to get it as even as the first one is. Again, just one wrap. If you like the placement of it, you can go ahead and tighten down a little. You don't want to pull down too hard. If you do, it's going to cause it to dig into the nymph skin, and then your fibers are going to stick up, and you don't want that. Go ahead and get rid of this. Take our whip finish here. Alright. And what I like to do after I've whip finished is I'll come back and I'll get some head cement in there, just to kind of hold everything in place. And to put that on there, what I have is a large sewing needle. So I'll just dab that in the head cement, and you don't need a whole lot, just a little dot there. There you go. And just kind of spread that around, make sure it gets onto the thread. And if your horns aren't sitting the way you like them to, another thing I like to do is take a little bit of gel type super glue, and I'll get just the smallest little dot on there on the tip of my needle, and I'll gently kind of pull back on the fibers, get a little dot on each fiber there. That'll kind of help set them falling back on the fly there. So once everything is dried up, your fly is ready to go. Again, this is just a size 16 brown Caddis Pupa. You can do it in different colors. The inspiration for this video came from a Dave McPhail video that I watched. His variation uses some different materials. But again, I just used what I had available here at home. Anyways, thank you as always for watching my videos, and good luck out there.